What is going on, guys? DBG here, and today we are going to be reacting to a video from All That Jazz, another 2K YouTuber, and the video is titled The Truth About NBA 2K21 2k21 MyTEAM. So go subscribe to him. Let's try to get him to 1.2 thousand subscribers by the end of the day, because honestly, that is, like, lads, that's 20 subscribers. If we can't get him to 20 more subscribers, that's not great. But yeah, anyway. So let's have a reaction to this. So obviously, go subscribe to him. And if you are new to this channel, please subscribe. We are trying to see, have we gone positive for today? Yes, we have. We've gone positive for today. That's all I asked for, was one subscriber, and we're above that right now. So big thank you guys for all the support on the channel recently. And also, lads, like, man, we're so close to finishing the FIFA team. We're so close to finishing the FIFA team. We got this squad, this little squad right here. We've got, I'm just honestly just trying out this guy right here. Probably will go back to using Adama. And I'm just waiting for Nani to get updated. And then icon swaps tomorrow, I'm getting Pele. I don't care about the player picks and stuff. Could the player picks get me a better player? Yeah, but I just want to get Pele. But yeah, that's what I've been doing the last couple of days, to be completely honest. Just playing some FIFA. So let's watch this. And it's 42 minutes long, so let's go playback speed. I'll go 1.25 because 1.5 seems a bit fast for a lot of people. So let's go to 1.25.
Here we go. So guys, I'm going to talk about 2K21 and I'm going to talk about 2K22 in this video. In the background, you can see the final game of 2K that I'm playing on 2K21. As you guys know, I'm new to next gen, so you're going to see me learning the ropes. But it's a really good game, so I thought I'd drop it as a backdrop for this video. But the purpose of this video is really going back to where I started with 2K content, which is really calling 2K out on their BS. And right now, everyone's doing a look back on 2K21. Everyone's hopeful for 2K22. And there's a variety of opinions on all of it. Was it a good game? Was it a bad game? Was it as bad as people are saying it is?
Yes, it was that bad. Is
2K22 going to be amazing? Like, should we be looking forward to it? I want to caption all of this, guys. 2K21 was one of the worst experiences I've had for a game. And I'm going to say really black and white.
It was terrible. 2K21 was terrible, lads. There's no ifs or buts about it. 2K21 was terrible.
If I wasn't making content, I wouldn't have played this game all year. By the time it got to April, May, I was completely burnt out. I put out a video saying I'm not going to grind the game anymore, and I stopped doing that. I didn't do the Bill Russell challenges, I didn't do the taco challenges, all of that stuff. But really, there was bigger reasons than the kind of time drain that goes into this game that took me off it, that took my passion away from it. And I'm going to list all those things, because by the end of this video, I challenge anyone to make the case that 2K21 was a good game.
It wasn't a good game.
Before I get into all of that, guys, please like and subscribe.
Like, there were good things in the game, but there were a lot more bad than good. Or, if you include gameplay and everything, I think there were a lot more bad than good. There were some nice ideas brought forward, and there were a lot of good moments, but I think there were a lot more bad than good.
I want to say a big thank you, because this is the last 2K21 video I'm doing. It's been an amazing year.
We got monetized.
We hit 1,000 subs. We've had 10,000 hours of watch time this year. Over 100,000 views. We launched Twitch, became affiliate on there. It's been an incredible year for me, guys. As someone who's basically a part-time YouTuber, you guys have been the best thing about this year. And honestly, I think how bad the game was, we're going to get into this. If it wasn't for you guys, I would have stopped making content entirely, if I'm being completely honest. So, let's jump into it.
Go subscribe to him.
So the first thing is Algo, guys. Now, Algo was dialed up in 2K21. We know it was bad in 2K20, but they took it to some whole...
I don't believe so. I think it's been equally as bad in 20 as it was in 21. I don't think they... Maybe if you play... The more the game you play, the more you realize the Algo. I think there's still... I think it's the exact same... I think literally the Algo system, the like momentum system is the exact same. So I think it's been the exact same for years.
Other level in 2K21. Skill gap has never been so irrelevant. And I understand 2K want casuals and new players to enjoy the game and be invested, and there needs to be a level of algo to do that. But it shouldn't be the case that high level players are having competitive games with someone new on the game.
That's not, that has never and will never happen in 2K. I reckon I am going to agree with a lot of this, but the boy who, like, crying skill gap is just not a thing. There are situations where worse players beat better players based on algorithm, 100%. 100%. When two similarly skilled players play off against each other, it's based on luck. But like, if I play against someone who has put in less than 100 hours into my team, I'm winning by 40 points. And if I play against a competitive player, like a top tier comp player, I'm losing by 30. No matter what. Like, if I played, I don't know, let's just say best player. I'm trying to think who's the best player in Europe. I can't really talk about that, because like when I played Crispy, I was actually good at the game. Crispy's probably the best in Europe, and I lost him 2-1 in the series, but that was when I was good. For example, current gen. You guys saw. I played Ty. I will lose 100 times out of 100 against Ty and current gen. There is a skill gap. And the skill gap is big. The skill gap, you're a lot more likely to... You're a lot less likely to lose to a scrub in 2K than FIFA. I actually think as far as sports games go, I don't know about MLB. I've never played it. Outside of MLB, it probably is the highest skill gap of any sports game. So, like, look, I don't think it's like a game. I don't think crying skill gap is the reason.
That shouldn't be the case, which leads us on to our next point. The difficulty in Unlimited needed to change 3, 4, 5 months ago. Why hasn't it changed? But
the difficulty has nothing to do with the skill gap, and I make this point all the time. It's just a different thing that matters. If you're playing on a lower difficulty, the most important thing is getting open. Like, getting open is the skill gap. The ability to shoot open shots because every shot goes in. But if you're playing on a higher difficulty, it's less about getting open than it is about timing. So higher difficulty, timing is a skill gap. Lower difficulty, getting open is a skill gap. It's two completely different things. And I think there are different skill gaps to both. Like, there are certain players that excel in higher difficulty. Some players excel in lower difficulties and vice versa. And the top guys tend to excel in both. So the difficulty definitely needs to be higher. Because it gets ridiculous in my team, but I don't think that really affects the skill gap too much. It just affects the way the game's played.
We started the year with stick shooting. Everyone complained about that before we got used to it. I was one of those people as well. And then the argument is, the community's never happy. So we went the other way. We put in button shooting. There is a middle ground, guys. It's not really that hard, 2K. It's really not that hard. If you're going to move it onto button shooting, don't put it on rookie. Apparently it's on pro. I don't know.
It's on superstar.
Don't put it on an easy difficulty. Why is that so hard? And
we just have 99 every shot.
To button shooting, the meta was really designed for the amethysts that we're using at the time, maybe the diamonds. When you transfer that meta to now 99 overall, everything invincible GOAT cards, you've literally got players that can't miss even if you're shooting with your eyes closed.
I agree with that point.
Just increase the difficulty throughout the year. That's the move.
When players get 99 threes, you have to put it on half.
Or increase it throughout the year. That is
how you
make
to shoot on half
2K22 tolerable for people who are actually good at this game.
Next gen.
Limited was a great idea this year and executed horribly. I'm just going to say it. It was executed really, really badly. Week after week, we had 1 Galaxy Opal and 3 Amethysts, and the rest need to be gold.
That was the worst. We had up until like November where they were being really creative with limited weekends, and then there was just one weekend they were like, you know what? We don't actually have to be creative. Let's just go all rubies and 1 Galaxy Opal. And then it was like, okay, what do we do now? Amethysts the next week. All diamonds the week after that. You can't use pink diamonds. And then it's like, you know what? We're going to throw in golds now. Whereas at the start, it was like, use teammates of LeBron James, use the greatest college player, use college greats, NCAA greats. There were a load of like unique challenges, and then the unique challenge just stopped. They just stopped. There was like one week where they went to like use certain tiers, and then it just stopped.
It was so boring. What an amazing game mode that could have been. I don't know if their whole thought process was a 5-second meeting where they sat down and went, this is the first thing that came to mind. Let's run with that. Where's the creativity? Where's stuff based on the playoffs? You know, based on conferences, based on height, based on badges. There's so many different requirements we could have had. But 80%.
There was the weekend where you couldn't use anyone who had clamps. There was that weekend. But it was only players that couldn't hold clamps. So basically, half the players who didn't have clamps in the game, you couldn't use anyway. So that's why it's not badges.
At the time, use 1 dark matter, the rest needs to be diamonds. Use 1 Galaxy Opal, the rest needs to be amethyst. My God, it got boring by the end of the year. Quick match needs to be in the game next year. Guys, this has been the toughest year ever for content creators. It's not going to be in the game. Stuff we're going to talk about later. But the whole game, especially online, is designed to be so toxic and ego-driven. Yeah. Can we just have quick match? So those casuals who are trying to keep on the game on Unlimited using things like...
I've said this so much. I've said this. This is the one thing I've said to every year to everybody anyone who will listen. I've said it to LD. I've said it to all the MyTEAM devs I know. The most important thing, forget anything, forget a draft mode. The most important thing is a quick match mode for my team, and they won't do it. They won't do it, and there's no quick match next year. There's no quick match next year. They've already told us there's no quick match next year. So it's the most important thing in the game. I've said it to anyone who can listen, who will listen. So like, I'm trying to do my bit to get it in the game. I don't know what more I can do for that one specific thing, but it's been 4 years that I've been basically hounding devs. Summer 2018 was when I started hounding devs. So it's been 3 years. It's not going to happen.
Algo could just jump on for a no consequences game.
Yeah,
Simple question. What online game could we play this year that didn't have consequences? That didn't end a 12-0 run, stop you going up a tier, drop you down a tier, stop you getting the ring? Everything about this game is about consequences. Can we just have a mode where we go online and play for fun? Is that too much to ask for? It's the core mode on any online game. It's quick match. Why is it not in NBA 2K? Next up, we need to get rid of 68-0.
Yeah.
This concept is absolutely ridiculous and so arrogant from 2K that they believe that their game is strong enough for people to run these kind of runs on the game. It's just ridiculous. Go back to 12-0, make it 10-0, whatever you need to do. Don't tell us to win 56 games and then go 12-0. Guys,
the worst part is that, like, to win 56 games, let's be real, if you win every single game, you're spending probably 15, 20 hours in the game. And, like, you only have 6 weeks to do it all. But then there's other game modes you want us to play as well. And that's the problem is, like, if you are not playing 2K 12 hours a day, you can't do everything. And I get it, there's, like, a point where it's like, you know what, 2K don't want to make it so people complete stuff too easily. And I understand that, which is why I didn't like the original 12-0. I'm not saying the original Unlimited concept was good. I think it was the lesser two evils. Again, as I always say, FIFA have it right with Division Rivals. You've already copied their XP, the XP from last year, down to a font. You use the same font and same logo as FIFA. You've copied their XP to a T. Now just copy the Rivals mode. Copy like literally, Rivals, you don't even need all the friendlies options. Rivals, Weekend League, Quick Match, Draft. And Triple Threat. Perfect. Game. I will never complain. If that's what you bring in, call it different names. That is what you need. That is the perfect mode to run. Scrap Limited, honestly, just, like, it's a good idea, but you've already shown, like, they've already shown that they're not competent enough to run it properly, so just scrap it. Literally, look at what FIFA have done. Copy it. And do what you can on the disc. And that is how you can make MyTEAM the better game. And then obviously gameplay is gameplay, but I mean the mode itself.
And almost collectively, the entire community just stopped doing this. Outside of comp players and a handful of content creators and a few sweats that sit at home, no one cared about Unlimited this year. They just didn't care. Make it achievable.
I didn't face an Unlimited reward. I reckon I played less than 5 games against Unlimited rewards all year. That's my prediction, less than 5. I think I played McHale a few times, that was it. Pierce at the start, I'm going to say less than 5.
And make every run, whether it's 10-0, 12-0, every time you do it, give us additional rewards. Yeah. It just really isn't that difficult. Now, the most toxic thing of all that 2K did this year, and the most arrogant thing that they did this year, is put win ratios in the game. Simple question to anyone who's watching this video right now. Was your win ratio accurate for the whole year based on error codes alone?
Good idea,
no, they were not. The game and the servers are so bad that putting in something like win ratios just makes it completely inaccurate and gives a false representation of that player's ability. When you start chucking algo difficulty into it, it's meaningless. Get rid of it. It literally means nothing.
Yeah,
RNG.
I agree, but
the 3 letters that defines 2K. Let's talk about RNG. Everything was RNG.
I mean,
Limited was RNG. TTO is RNG on top of RNG. Then they released whole themes based around RNG. Yeah, we get it, guys. You want us to play the game all the time in the blind hope that a payoff might pop up. We get that. Can you give us the other side of that as well? Can you start giving us some guaranteed rewards?
That is the one thing that I had a huge problem with, that everything was RNG. And I remember that was why I got so angry about the Season 8 devlog. Is that literally, we were like, we saw it in Season 6 that every reward was RNG. We were excited for Season 6. And like we were excited for Season 6. Then Season 7 happened and there was like almost no RNG rewards in Season 7. We were really happy. And then Season 8 was like, oh, it's all RNG again. So that's why I went berserk during the dev blog. Man, I got so angry about RNG rewards that, man, I missed out on a box. I didn't get one of those boxes because I got yeeted. Man, if only I didn't make that video, I'd have one of those cool jackets with DBG on it. But you know what? That video I think is important, and I think the fact that people are speaking up against the fact that we hate RNG rewards might end up being important down the line. So yeah. Anyway, now let's go on to the next point. But RNG rewards, or everything being based around RNG, RNG reality, and Season 8 starting off an RNG. Man, that was like, it's just not acceptable. It is legitimately just not acceptable.
Especially when it comes to the big themes. Now we're going to get into our first topic about XP. So the worst thing that 2K did this year when it comes to XP is effectively make it pay to play. Yes, you could do it without having original owner cards, but the fact that they attached the big XP to original owner cards
doesn't seem like original owners
as it gets. Like I said, you could do it without using those original owners, but you had to make a choice of whether you were going to grind for an extra 24 hours or open packs. If XP is going to be in the game, make it about playing the game. Don't make it about opening packs. And the most simple way to do that, guys, is give us XP for actually playing games. Now, people say, oh, they did that in the last season. No, they didn't. It capped at 30 games on Unlimited. I got that done, and that was it. Any more Unlimited games, it didn't matter. We need to get XP for playing games. Again,
Play My Team in Season 5 was great.
Of any online game mode.
Play My Team in Season 5 is great because we got XP and then you actually were going for players. So I actually really like, yeah, maybe you're saying, you know what, it wasn't enough, but I actually do kind of like the Play My Team from Season 5.
That has something like XP in it. Get XP for just playing the game. If someone wants to go online and play 200 games of Unlimited that season and that's how they want to complete XP, fine, let them do it. Next up, we've got the full whites of the game. The amount of whites that go in is just obscene this year. And we touched on it earlier, but the fact that people are shooting 70-80% from 3 without greening a shot doesn't mean there isn't much of a skill gap. It literally at this point means there's no...
I played Fat Boss and he went 18 of 20 from 3 and he greened 1 in a game on Superstar. Current gen... Next gen is not as bad, but current gen is rough. Current gen is rough. Like, every white goes in on current gen unless you're playing on half.
No skill gap. We are literally playing a game where someone can green the majority of their shots, someone can white the majority of their shots, and the person who whited the shot can win that game. What is...
There's more... Like, that's basically saying timing is the only skill gap in the game, and I understand that argument, but at the same time, there's a lot of the time there's more to it. Like, if you green, say, 10 of 20, and all 20 of them are contests, and your opponent hits 11 of 20, but they're all wide open whites. Like it's a different argument. It's like whether the quality of the shot. I get the argument, and I do agree. Like the way shooting is RNG based is crazy, but I mean, using percentages, it's a tough argument to make.
What is the skill gap? What is the point? What are we trying to achieve allowing that to happen? Now we're going to talk about pack odds, another thing that made the whole year toxic. If you look...
Actually, when he said what is the skill gap, that is exactly it, because they haven't defined what the skill gap is. Like, with the way my team is, there's no defined meta. And, like, they're constantly changing and tweaking things, and it's suddenly the meta changes. Meta changes depending on difficulty. So, yeah, that is the thing. Is like, no one even knows what the skill gap is, realistically.
Look at one of my videos recently, I did a pack odd with 1 million MT. The pack odds were stated by 2K at 33% invincible or GOAT cards. I pulled 25%. So that was an absolute lie. And it ties into the initial graphic they put up, which they later changed, which said it was 26%. JD Crossover has pulled tens of millions of MTs worth of packs, and the odds are 24 to 25%. That's at the end of the year.
JD's pulled enough.
If you're going to put the odds in the game, make them real. Stop lying to us. Next up, we're going to talk about contracts, because this is an ongoing pet peeve of mine. This is something we
should be able to hold 100 contracts, and gold contracts should be like 30 games.
Contracts, do they need to be in the game? Absolutely not. But if you're going to put them in the game,
there's not enough
outside of diamond contracts, make the gold contract worth 10, 15, 20 games.
20 games for gold contract, and you can hold unlimited, and no one complains about contracts.
20 minutes of gameplay before that 600 MT worth of contracts.
No one has to think about contracts ever then for 20 games.
FIFA have 10 plus contracts on their
FIFA 42 contracts.
You need to go down that road. We should be able to put a contract
for 200 coins in FIFA. You can get 42 contracts.
On every player at least play 10 games or an hour if we're going to jump online. The next thing is the thing that makes me most worried about 2K22, which is things like the exchange in 2K21. We all live in blind hope, and I understand
it's not going to be better. The exchange is going to be a disaster.
Good, and we really want to trust 2K to do it well. But let's talk about the exchange. What was it? What was it? They got us so hyped about it. It was one of like 3 new concepts. Really, it was that limited in XP. And it was pointless the whole year. They made it toxic straight out the gate by asking for too many cards.
There were a few good things in the exchange.
Things that just became not worth it very quickly.
Alex English, the TTO to the exchange were good.
I think we probably forgot about it by December. And this is what concerns me about things that we're going to talk about later, like the draft mode. Are they going to do the same thing again?
They're going to mess up the draft mode badly.
Why did they not put packs in token market all year? The answer is they didn't want us to have the MT that we got last year by doing that. They need to keep the token market open, because the players in the token market are kind of useless. We had the DeRozans and the Bowls last year. The token market has become completely redundant. They chucked the badges in there this year. That was it. That was the whole purpose of the token market for the entire year. can we please bring back the spinners on TTO? I don't know how this happened. I don't know if people were complaining. I don't know how this happened. But if we're going to earn tokens, and we're going to earn MT, and we're going to play TTO, for the reasons that we played it in 2K20, the spinners need to be back. Guys, it is pointless playing TTO right now. We've gone from last year where you could earn 30,000 MT and probably 50 tokens in a TTO run
I don't think
to earning
you lose that
5,000
much.
MT and maybe 10 tokens if you're unlucky because that popped up instead of the main card. It just doesn't work anymore. TT offline odds as well, guys. They need to cap this. I mean, this was obscene this year. People literally spent 4 to 6 to 8 weeks doing nothing else but playing TT offline to get cards like Danny Ferry and Terry Dishinger.
I played almost 1,000
2K
games
were aware
for
that
Terry.
asking someone to play 2,000 games for Terry Dishinger is unreasonable. Cap the odds. Make them better. Whatever you need to do. Do not allow that to happen again.
Remember the glitch
People
market?
will start leaving your game. Now we're going to talk about the comp game.
Legitimately did not play. I legitimately did not get into glitch market once, and I know like Dale and Jacob's account, they played like 1,000. They played like 2,000 games in season 6 between them, and they didn't get into the glitch market once.
A little bit. 250k needs to be continuous. For me, there needs to be monthly qualifiers and multiple tournaments in a year.
They're not going to do it.
I would say quarterly tournaments would be
They don't
great.
care.
But
It's
first and foremost,
for the money. They
250k,
don't care.
$250,000 is simply not enough as a
Yep.
reward.
Yep.
2k
They
became a
don't care.
$1 billion company last year.
Only doing it
$1
so
billion
people buy packs to play.
And they're putting up $250,000 as a reward for the best player in the game. After tax, $180,000. Are you kidding me, 2k? You can't do more than that. Run 4 of them a year. Run them at different times on different metas.
four
Get the
250s
community
a
more
year,
excited,
yeah,
more
perfect.
invested for the entire year. The auction house tax. Now, people go back and forth on this. For me, guys,
5%.
it
You
just
have
needs
to have
go.
it. You have to have
The
it.
auction
Trust
house
me, you have
tax
to
is
have it.
designed to skim your MT. That is
Make
the
it
only reason for
5%.
it. They say
10% is too high, but it has to be
MT
there.
sites can't control the market and all of that. That's absolutely
No, it's done
nonsense.
through
It's
MT
just
sites, but it
designed
has to be
to
there.
make sure that as soon as you buy a player,
Oh no, I'm telling you, with the way everything works, it has to be there because it would just cause ridiculous inflation if it didn't. Like, it would screw people, but it should be 5% like FIFA. 10% is just ridiculous. Like, 10% is skimming, is just taking your MT, but the tax needs to be there, but it should be 5%.
it's already worth 10% less than before you bought it. That's it. That's
Lower
what
to
exists.
5.
Get rid of it. If you're going to keep it, put it down to 5%.
Yeah.
10% is too
Like,
much.
get
I
rid of
cannot
it would be
believe, guys, we're at a
disaster.
point where we still can't save our settings. How are we at
Yeah.
a point in 2K
This is a
when we
joke.
still can't save our
It's a
settings,
joke.
freelances, defensive settings,
It's an
offensive settings
absolute
before a game?
joke.
How are we still here? What
It's a
level
joke.
of laziness does it take for 2K to allow that to still be a problem? And let's go one step further. I'm on next gen now as of last week. I have to call a timeout to set my freelance.
Oh,
They
it got-
haven't
it
only
got
fixed
even
it,
worse.
They made it worse.
Yeah.
How can you be this lazy and
You can only get one
incompetent and make
freelance
the
now.
game so unintuitive
Used to
and
be
just
able
turn a
to
blind
choose
eye to it?
between
I
20.
don't understand it. The
And
next
one.
thing is an in-game thing, guys. Full court press became the defensive meta of this year, and it was allowed to happen because there was no consequences for it. Why is there not a stamina drain
Yeah.
on full court press? Why?
Stamina
Someone
stamina
explain this
does
to me.
drain.
You run a full court press for 20 minutes, and it has the same stamina drain as running a zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Nerf it next year, so we're not all jumping
Because
into a game.
everyone has
and running a
tireless
defensive
defender
plan
and
that we should be
tireless
running for the
shooter.
last 30 seconds of a game.
Stamina doesn't
Speed
matter.
boosting, this is a current gen issue. You can speed boost on next gen, but it's a little bit more complicated. But
should
the
have
current
patched
gen
it.
speed boosting meta was just insufferable the whole year.
It was a joke.
The whole year, guys. Every time we loaded into game, it was speed boost versus
Speed
speed
boost
boost,
and
then
speed
back
boost
to a
and
speed
speed
boost,
boost,
then
speed
another
boost,
one,
speed boost.
speed boost into a 3,
all
speed
it
boost
was.
to the rim. Oh my goodness me, what an exploit to just completely ignore leaving the game for the entire year. The next thing, guys, they need to improve their customer service. When I say improve, I really mean they need to have some customer service. I'm pretty sure if you played this game for a couple of years, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There will be a time, like happened with me, where an error code cost me my 12-0 run with Patrick Ewing, and I sent them screenshots and videos and all of this
2K
about happening,
support.
and they turned around and went, oh, well,
Brilliant.
there's nothing we can do about
Absolutely
that. That's not
brilliant.
good enough, 2K. That's not good enough. You need to care about your community. When they have an issue, when it's legitimate, and when it's your fault, you need to fix it. That is basic business. Like, you just need to care. It's bizarre. Let's talk about the servers. And I'm going to use some content creators as an example. There is a reason you don't see many comp players on the EU. The reason is you can't really be comp
We play on
the EU
delay
server.
every game.
There's a 1 to 2 second delay as standard. Sometimes it can be even worse. There's a lot of times where the game is completely unplayable.
Again, that's a vast exaggeration. A 1 to 2 second delay literally is the difference. Is basically saying, like, you press square, and by the time it registers, or you switch, your opponent has launched a full court pass and dunked it. But no, it's like, it's a very small delay, but any delay, like, it's a couple of milliseconds delay, but the gap, like, playing on 500 megs down in Europe is slower, is more delay, or say on a 1 millisecond monitor is more delay than playing on 20 meg down Wi-Fi in America on a TV. That's the only thing that I can say, is that there's constant delay if you're in Europe and if you're in Australia.
The US servers tend to function fairly well in-game.
Yeah.
You still have problems like the error codes and things like that. But there are servers, like the EU server,
Their
like the APAC
east-west
server,
delay
which
is
are
like our
unplayable
normal
a lot of the time. 2K, if you're going to sell a game on a continent,
Their
you need to
east-west
make sure
delay
that
is
game
like every
functions
game
on
we
that
play.
continent. Like I said, you're a billion-dollar company. Go get some new servers. Then
Yeah. Like Europe, Ireland to Russia play on the same servers. And like Ireland to Russia is I'm pretty sure it's further away than Ireland to New York. So like we get our delay, like your east-west delay if you're American, is what we play on every single game. No matter what. Maybe even a little bit worse. Like, if I'm playing against somebody 10 minutes down the road from me, we're playing on east-west delay. Because our servers are in Germany. Like, the servers that we play on are in freaking Germany.
3 years overdue. And the next thing, as a lot of games have done now, is to create a global server. Why does that not exist yet in 2K? You know, we've got games like Fortnite, Warzone, who are running a much higher player base on global servers. Why can I not play someone in New York without one of us being delayed? At what point are we going to be able to do that, 2K? And another reason to improve those servers is so we don't have the inevitable Friday game crash, where no one can get on the game because you've released new packs or a new season has started. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point. You go the whole year just...
I've heard 2K say that the player base don't realize how difficult it is to make servers work on sports games. Like, no, we know why your servers are broken. Your servers don't work in Park because you have all the billboards and you refuse to blur out the billboards, so the game's crashing. That's why the servers don't work. And also, what does getting into the menus have to do with a sports game? Like, that's just poor servers. Like, that's just bad servers. Like I've heard 2K legitimately telling their player base that you don't know why our servers are bad. Our servers are really good, but they don't work because it's tough with a sports game. How does, like, we can't get into the menus? No. It's 2K's fault where the servers are bad. If anyone, I know people in 2K watch a lot of this stuff. Again, why the dev blog got me yeeted out of getting any content early. But like, no, it's a 2K problem. It's not. 2K in the company internally can try blame all these other things, but when every other game, when this has only happened to 2K and 2K's not in the top 10 most popular games in the world online, then it's a 2K problem. It's not a problem with sports games, because again, FIFA is probably 3 times the player base and it happens significantly less often than FIFA.
Expecting us to be okay with the fact for 2 or 3 hours every Friday we just can't get on the game? Is that
from
okay?
March onwards, every second Friday.
The next thing is crossplay. When are we going to see it? We're seeing it on other games already. We need to be at a point now, very soon, where someone on an Xbox can play someone on a PlayStation.
Because they have the big deal with PlayStation.
The community is divided enough already between next gen and current gen, and now we're divided between Xbox and PlayStation. There's so much division. Then you add the server issues, and we can't play someone on the other side of the world. We're going to get to a point pretty soon where the only person I can play is someone sitting next to me on the couch. Going back to Limited really quickly, guys, let's talk about the exploits that they've allowed all year in Limited. I think it's been 1 in 3 weeks where they put out some requirements that are literally meaningless because someone's found an exploit, and it says you can run one dark battle, but someone's running a 10-man dark battle.
Use from whatever team
to play around slightly in their lineup. If you're going to put requirements out there, they need to mean something. The next thing, guys, bring Blacktop back. It was great. I know they've got draft mode, but bring Blacktop back as well. We need opportunities to try cards before we buy them. And when I say buy them, let's talk about the fact that people have spent $5,000 trying to pull certain cards this year. Give them a chance to use them before they pull them.
That's their own fault. That's just them being dumb.
Literally scares the living daylights out of me, because if 2K do a 2K like they did with Limited, The Exchange, XP, Glitch Reality, if they do it again, if they have a great idea and refuse to execute it, make it redundant, make it origin-based,
if they make draft-based, if
they do this badly, it's going to be one of the biggest L's they've ever taken. It's the only information they've given us. It's the one thing that they've allowed us to be excited by. If they butcher this, there will be outrage. There will be outrage. The next thing, guys, it's time to remove height as the meta. It just is.
It'll never be removed.
This is one of the most boring things about the 2K cycle every...
Like, this is the one thing I will always say, and it's like, if every single player could do the same things... Like, every player dribbled the exact same, every player ran at the exact same speed. Well, obviously, taller players faster in this game. But every player could dribble the exact same, every player could shoot the exact same, every player had the exact same IQ. The NBA would just be full of 8-foot-tall demigods. The tallest people. If there were no differences, if the only difference between players were some players were taller, some players were smaller, and taller players would dominate. The only way they could fix this is if they did the opposite of what they did last year. Whereas last year, small players were super fast without the ball, but super slow with the ball. But tall players were super fast with the ball and super slow without it. If tall players were just slower with the ball, and small players were faster with the ball, that makes small players instantly more usable. But no, 2K doesn't even understand that normally the smaller you are, the faster you are dribbling the ball. This is a simple fix that 2K won't do.
Every year is by the time we get to April, it's literally who can have the tallest squad. And 2K facilitate this by having cards like Taco Fall and Bol as the best cards in the game. Why are they the best cards in the game? You've released invincible versions of 2 of those players who've barely played an NBA game. Just because you're encouraging height as the meta to make money, to have gatekeepers like MBJ sell for $1 million. MT. That's it. That's the point. We need to change this next year. Certain heights need to have disadvantages in the game. They need to be capped at certain badges. Just make it so a player over 7 foot can't get Hall of Fame range, but they can get gold.
Yeah.
You can do this very easily and make players like Jordan, like Steph Curry relevant in this game. It absolutely is possible because you have badges and you have attributes that you can play with. And by the end of the game, if you're releasing nobodies with 99 everything and every badge in the game, height is obviously going to be the meta, isn't it? The next thing is making on-ball defense more just more effective. Like it has been in previous games and people do miss that.
Problem is, when anyone tries to make the argument about on-ball, is that until they fix off-ball defense, if anyone tries to on-ball, a half-decent player will either just run a play and get a wide open shooter, or will just back cut and get a player wide open. Problem is, people have figured out how to glitch the AI. The AI needs to be fixed before on-ball needs to be. Because they actually did, like, you got way better animations on next-gen on-balling. They actually did what they could. The problem is that the AI defense is broken. People are just going to glitch the AI.
But we're at a point now where it's basically redundant. It really is. Everyone's offboarding, not because they're toxic.
And you see that there. He just got to steal because he on-balled.
We need to bring on-ball defense back into the game, and we need to make the game more intuitive. If someone runs at my player, they should be giving up the ball. That's how this should work. I would like to see domination every season next year with the online toxicity that exists in this game. And let's not forget the toxicity that we create, the snarky messages we get, all of this stuff, the wider community toxic stuff. It's just not a fun thing to experience for a lot of people.
There needs to be a lot of
online. So make sure there's domination every season. Make sure there's something for offline players to do regularly and make the rewards worth it as well. Speaking of rewards, let's talk about the unlimited rewards. Was there a good one this year?
Pierce.
Debatable?
Pierce.
Some would argue yes, some would argue no. I'd say Larry Johnson for the lols, but if I'm being real, no, there wasn't. There just wasn't. The unlimited rewards, if you're going to ask us especially to do what we did last year, which I have a really bad feeling about to, you better make 68-0 more worth it than Drazen Petrovic. It just has to happen. It's not good enough. Next thing is giving longevity to players before upgrading them. How many LeBrons have we had this year? It's 20 plus, I believe.
If
you're going to release a card that has value, that's going for anything over 500,000 MT, and people are ripping packs and putting their time into it, don't release an updated version of that card 2 weeks later. It's obnoxious. Don't do it. Let the cards have some longevity. If someone buys Giannis because they want Giannis in their team, don't make them feel bad about it 2 weeks later because you released a better version. And literally did it just to crash their MT, by the way. That's pretty much the only reason. AI intelligence on defense, I mean, I don't know how much I need to say about this, but yeah, trying to control 5 players at once because they're all doing something stupid is getting harder and harder every year. Make the AI relatively intelligent. That's all we're asking for. Next thing is the XP needs to be more thoughtful. Trying to get rebounds with 5 foot players is not fun for anyone. I don't know if you need to hear this 2K, but it ain't fun for anyone. It's not funny either. We're going to end up spending 2 hours trying to do that when you could have given us a 7 foot player to do XP with and let us shoot threes with that 5'5" point guard.
So
be more thoughtful. Think about your player base. Think about the quality of their gaming experience. Token reward players. So I spoke about the token market earlier. Again, I want to go back to this because my squad was built on token reward players last year, guys. I ran that Penny Hardaway for ages. I ran D-Rob for ages. Drazen was the best player on my.
I agree.
Sorry, DeRozan was the best player on my team for 3-4 weeks, and when I got Bol, he ended the year as my best player. Please make tokens mean something again, or just take them out of the game, guys. Let's talk about the 70% glitch. So last week, I was playing Unlimited, trying to get those 30 wins.
If you are on current gen in Europe right now, 50% of your games are 70% glitches. Like, it's a joke. Basically, something cuts out in the server before the game starts, and both players get caught in a 70%, and whoever quits first gets a loss. Simple as. Whoever quits first gets a loss. Literally, it is a joke. I remember I don't know how many 12-0 runs. I remember I sat there on stream one time, and someone 70% glitched me. And I sat there for 40 minutes, and they were in the stream. They tried to stream snipe me and 70% glitched me, and they wouldn't quit for 40 minutes. Like, if you are on current gen, especially in Europe, you know how bad the 70% glitch is.
And I had 70% glitches in 9 games.
Yeah, it's happening basically every game in Europe now. It's ridiculous.
Let me just be clear on this. The 70% glitch is because your servers are crap. That's the reason it exists. Upgrade your servers.
These both players get caught with it.
You've created a scenario where we have a game mode, which is 2 people load into a game, and whoever quits first without even touching the ball loses the game. Are you serious about this still being in the game, 2K? Is this a joke at this point?
It's been in the game for 2 years. It only came in 20.
Guys, I played FIFA like 10 years ago, right? And up until 3-4 years ago, I was very into Ultimate Team. There is an app, and for some of you, this might blow your mind, but there is an app that you can work the auction house on. Think about that for a second. When you're at work, when you're
they
out
won't
with your
do it.
friends,
It's too much effort. It costs too much money, but it will be
insane.
insane.
Player that you want to pick up, you can put bids up on that player throughout the day on your phone.
2K
still doesn't have a companion app.
They won't ever do it.
It's unbelievable, guys. They are so far behind.
They're so far behind
the rest of the gaming world and all the other companies with the innovation that they have. This model that they're just going to keep releasing packs and we're going to keep making them rich without ever caring about us or our gamer experience is a model that we need to break, guys, because they're never going to get.
At the end of the day, people buy packs, so why would they ever change? Why would they ever things like that? The companion app cost money. Why would they ever put money in a lot? It costs a lot of money. Why would they ever put a lot of money into the companion app when realistically it's not going to make them any money? Like, I get it, it would be great. But you have to look at things from 2K's perspective. Like, why the hell do that? Until it gets to the stage where people are stopping spending money on microtransactions, they're not going to actually spend money on new stuff. They just know, okay, we can just keep releasing shiny new cards. We can release our 7th Dark Matter LeBron James of the year, and people are still going to buy packs for it.
Get better. 3 versus 3 team up on my team would be an incredible
My
addition.
team
I
would
would
be
love to see it. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but me and two friends jumping online, looking at those cards, running up against 3 other people. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think there needs to be a bit more crossover between my player and my team. I would love to do it with the my team cards. That's just a personal choice. Let's talk about timeouts and pause timers. Both of these things need to be reduced massively.
Why did they
Guys, when someone decides to stall, they can stall for 10 minutes.
They made pause timers longer on next gen. A minute was already too long. They made them 1 minute and 25 seconds. It makes no difference. Like, make them 30 seconds. I'm cool with them being 30 seconds. Give yourself 2 minutes in the pause timer, 30 seconds on timeouts.
They can stall for 10 minutes. And let's remember their 250k depends on people not doing this.
That's only on current gen.
Why
You
do
stall
we still
for
have
more than
3
10
minute
minutes if
pause
you're on
timers?
next gen.
Why do we have 7 1-minute timeouts? That's 10 minutes total,
1 minute and 25
guys. That's what that
seconds.
is. Is there ever a game that you played where you've needed that amount of time?
1 minute and
for
15
pause timers?
seconds.
It's just unnecessary. It's literally there for trolls to troll. That's it. That's the only reason. Can we also start to reduce the number of 5-second violations before ending a game?
Yeah,
because
it's
the only
a
thing worse than
joke.
someone pausing and using their timeout is
It's
someone
like
putting their
15
controller
minutes.
down and it taking 20 minutes for them to get ejected from the game because they've had too many violations. It's just insane. It's insane.
Like, it takes more than a
TT offline
quarter of
rewards.
them
Now, I'm not
5
talking about Terry
seconds.
Dishinger. I'm not talking about Danny Ferry, Donald, Wayne Embry, Byron Beck. I'm not talking about these cards. I'm talking about the actual cards on the board. TT offline is a redundant mode, guys. Outside of those RNG cards that they put in the game this year, there is no purpose to climb that board. Why? Make it worthwhile, please. Just make at least
From
one card
McGee,
that's on
they were
that board each
also at.
season
Oladipo was
worth
okay.
grinding for, so that people play offline, don't end the season with the best reward they have being Invincible Russell Westbrook. TTO, the RNG needs to go. I've had enough of it. It is the only mode where they've doubled up on RNG. It's the only mode where they've done that. You need to get the ball drops, then you need the ball to drop in the right place. But before that, you need the card to pop up in the first place. I think there might be 3 layers of RNG built into TTO. I don't know. It's time for it to go. I would really like to see TTO as more of a 12-0 game mode. I would really like to see that. I'm not saying that's the way we should go.
You know what? If you're
going
to put in 12-0, make it TTO.
Make it worthwhile every
I
time.
actually agree
I
with
think
that.
if
That's a
someone
really good
wins
point,
10 games
Jazz.
in a
That's a
row
really
with
good
TTO,
point.
that's a lot harder than we think, and I do it regularly. I'll be honest. The amount of times I get rewarded for it is very, very little, so it needs to be more rewarding and more guaranteed. The icon glitch. Guys, how many times have we all been through this? Where
It's
your
been in the game
icons
since
just won't come up?
2K13. They're not fixing it.
Again, it's just gone on for
2 players hit
so
L1 at the same
long. Why
time
can they
and the
not
icons
fix it?
break.
This is year after year stuff. You know, the game's on the line, there's 3 seconds left, and your icons won't come up, so you cannot switch your play.
It's been in the game in the PS3, PS4, and PS5. It's not getting fixed. The icon glitch will never be fixed. I don't know what caused it, but it will never be fixed. That's going to be in the game. We're going to be talking in 2K40. We're going to have 44-year-old DBG. Probably full head of grey hair. Still complaining about 2K. We're going to have, I don't know, Neon as the new Ronnie 2K. Because apparently he's Ronnie 2K's kid, according to him. And we're still going to have the icon glitch.
Player to cover the guy who's sitting open in the corner, they put up a 3 and you lose the game. I mean, you're literally not in control of anything at that time. When your icons stop working, you're basically watching a game. That's what you're doing. Right, auction house filters. Why are there no filters for shoes, guys? At this point, why is there no filters for diamond shoes? Why can we not filter a Kobe Grinch? Why? Anyone got an explanation? Didn't think so. Let's move on. Little basic things like stop releasing cards with the wrong players on them. Stop having 16-year-olds in the game. Stop misspelling names.
Age 14
Stop
on half the
misspells so
players.
we can run 2 Danny Ferries in the same game. Attention to detail is surely the fundamental kind of concept of any business. Can we not do that? Can we not just proofread a card before we get it
Spell
out?
players'
How much
names
effort is
right.
that, guys? How much effort is it? If
Mirasan's name isn't spelled wrong all year.
let's talk about that. Make it relevant to the game mode or don't
Forgot
put
a
it at all.
H.
If you're going to run algo, like non-existent difficulty and skill-based matchmaking at the same time on a whim, without even telling us it's happened and telling us why.
They added SBMM in and didn't tell anybody. Like, SBMM, like, there's a reason why SBMM doesn't work when you're having to win a bunch of games. Like, people were tactically losing games was a thing. Like, you were better off. If you went 56-0 in going into the Galaxy Opal tier, you were coming up against 12 sweats. If you went like 56-40, you were coming up against 12 bums and you were walking through a 12-0 if you were a good player. Like, I knew people who were tactically losing a bunch of games to start the season, and then they would go on, win a bunch of games in a row, and they'd tank their record and have an easy 12-0. Like, it was just a disaster.
Understand that most people are going to stop playing Unlimited. This isn't complicated. If that's your goal, 2K,
everyone gave
well done,
once,
I think skill-based
once
matchmaking took about
SBMM
80%
came in,
of
no
your
one
player
played
base
it anymore.
off Unlimited permanently. The next thing is a long celebration animation. You know what I'm talking about. That guy who gets a highlight reel dunk and then takes the next 3 plays off because he's in the crowd celebrating how amazing his dunk was.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously? Can we not cap a celebration at like 2 seconds? Can we just not see Westbrook do the rockabye for like 2 seconds and then move on? Does he really need to celebrate for 10 seconds while my opponent's dropping threes on my head at the other end because he's wide open? The next thing is making unlimited profitable per game. If you're not going to put quick match in the game, make every game of unlimited mean something. You've done it with limited. A similar thing would be easy. Winning a game of unlimited with the parameters that you guys have set in this game is about the most toxic and unenjoyable gaming experience you could have. You're not entirely in control.
You're also capped on the amount of MT you can earn. If you beat someone by 100 and it says you earn 2,000 MT, you only earn 1,200 MT. You're actually capped at 1,200. So if you are running a lineup with... If you're running a 10-man with everyone pink diamond or higher, you cannot profit by playing unlimited. It is impossible to profit if you are running a 10-man with all pink diamonds or higher, or a 13-man with diamonds or higher. It is literally impossible to profit from that game mode. So yeah, 2K have made it so that you're guaranteed to lose MT if you play unlimited. It is mad. It's crazy. And also, again, it's a thing for another video, but capping the MT at 1,200, like it could say on screen you've earned 2,000. You could do everything to earn 2,000, but you will not get more than 1,200. Might have cost all of us somewhere in the region of 200-300k this year if we played a lot. If you played a lot of the game, you may have lost 300k MT just from 2K's just shady concept in the game that they haven't told anyone about and that they don't want anyone to know.
Control of winning the game at all. So if you do come out the other side with a win, shouldn't there be a reward? And especially if someone quits at the last second.
They should do the limited thing.
Someone quits at the last second, the game basically doesn't.
They should do the limited thing. A card flip at the end of every unlimited game.
You can't make each game worthwhile. Is that really difficult to do?
Make every game give you a card flip at the end of every game.
Can we please take the colour out the game that doesn't show someone's score? You guys know what I'm talking about?
It's not on next
year. One moron who decided to make his scoreboard like a shade of grey where you just can't see it. You have no idea what the score is. Equally, can we stop allowing for kit clashes as well? I mean, how many times do I have to rode into a game where me and my opponent have got the same jersey and none of us have got...
The kit screen. The jersey select screen on every other game mode? I wish I had FIFA up where you can change jersey before the game. Like in FIFA, you can actually choose, literally, you can pick the jersey. So like I always pick Leeds home jersey, random black away jersey. So that every game, there's no clash. But 2K haven't put that in. I get maybe not putting that in, but like the kick thing, I remember saying it to Two Bros back before obviously his situation happened, and I was like, "Can you please put it in?" Like I'm badly colorblind, and like half my games I can't even see the jerseys. People are using kick clashes, and he was like, "Oh no, you don't realize that's one of the most difficult concepts to put in a video game." Like, no, it's not. It's a jersey selection screen. Like, come on, 2K. Like that is something that can very easily be put in the game. They don't want to do it because they realize jersey selection screens not going to bring them money. Anything that is like ease of life features for anyone playing the game. So anything that makes the game more easy for the player, anything that improves the player's experience won't get brought in. But if something can make them money, so like if there's a new mode or a new thing in a mode that 2K feel can make them money down the line, they'll bring it in. But anything that 2K believe by not putting it into the game won't make them lose money. Like, there's a lot of things that they will make better in the game because they believe that if they don't put this in the game, they're going to lose money. But anything that would make the experience a lot better for the player, but at the same time, not putting it in the game is not going to make them lose money, and putting it in the game isn't going to make them gain money, 2K won't even take a second look at. So a lot of things like that, you're just never going to see be implemented into the game. A lot of the quality of life features are never going to be implemented in the game because they're not going to make the money, and not putting them into the game is not going to lose them money because the whales are still going to pay for packs. And that's the problem, is that like there's so many quality of life features. Same with the freaking misspellings and stuff. Like, they're not going to lose money off that. It's a bad look. It's a bad look when they see me laughing about it on Twitter. But like, that's not going to change. The 20 grand a year it will cost to hire a proofreader, or hire someone like for quality assurance, they're not going to pay, because at the end of the day, that's 20 grand extra that their company could have. And again, it's just one of the higher up suits. I don't like, again, any of the developers the individual developers, I can guarantee you are unbelievably passionate about the game. So never attack an individual dev. Never attack an individual dev, because I can guarantee you they are all working their asses off. The problem is that they just haven't been given the tools to succeed, unfortunately.
Idea what's going on. We both got two kits. Why could we not program that into the game to say, hey, these two jerseys are similar. Maybe we should make one team use the other one. Anyway, blinders and steady. Guys, let's talk about this situation. We currently have a situation where I'm playing current gen and next gen. And I've only experienced this for the last week.
Thankfully.
But I've got a couple of blinders badges.
Best badge in one game is the worst badge in the other.
If I put them on my players, they're going to be useless on current gen. And if I put them on my next gen players, great. If I don't put them on those players, then they're going to be useless on next gen. 2K, you create a scenario where people are playing 2 generations of the game, and you've released a badge, which is the best badge on one game, and the worst badge on another game. Imagine the incompetency involved in doing that. Imagine. Unbelievable. Right, the next thing is treat your content creators better. That's not only your signed content creators, but your non-signed content creators. Did you guys really ban JD Crossover this year? Probably the most ethical 2K gamer. You banned him. He is a 2K content creator signed by you. The most ethical content creator, like I said, has never put a foot wrong. You banned him, removed his income for 3 or 4 days because he relies on the game. He's got contracts with Facebook, all of this stuff. And didn't even give an explanation as to why.
He knows why. Thankfully they told him why. But yeah, it's not a good look. 2K doing that.
If you can treat your content creators like that, what chance have we got?
Ban me. Really? Go ahead.
Weekend League is the next thing I'm going to talk about, guys. Now, this is something I'm never really going to get involved in because I'm not good enough at the game. But there is a comp community out there. And I know when you're in the game and you watch content, the comp community seems bigger than it is.
Like, there's about 300 people in the comp community of a player base of probably 4 million. It's not... Like, look, it's something that could take off, but it's so minuscule. Like, it does feel big. It's so minuscule. I understand it, but I think quick match, things like quick match are a lot more important than building up the competitive MyTEAM scene, because like I think it'll build up naturally with the likes of like Ty, if Splash starts making content, likes of MJ's, and a whole bunch of other guys coming through like JC, CMAR streams a little bit, obviously Isaac, and they're gonna get angry. Like, I can't list everyone that I can think of off the top of my head, but and I know they're gonna get angry because I mentioned some of them and not every single person, but they know who they are. But yeah, I reckon it's a case of them making a name for themselves, playing amongst each other, because I don't think there's enough of a current audience around competitive MyTEAM for 2K themselves to pump money into it, because that, like, making the competitive mode better is going to cost a bit of money. But I do think a weekend league type mode would be great, but that's not coming this year. That's more for 2K23. Unfortunately, that's not coming this year.
But we need to give them something to do, and we also need to give players who don't play in Players Lounge or MyTEAM Madness and don't have access to these or knowledge of these different tournaments the opportunity to play competitively on a weekly basis. There could be some amazing players out there that we've just never seen because we've never had the opportunity. So a weekend league would be great. I think the comp players.
We had that theory years ago, but there's not. Everyone that's good at this game is known. This was a theory back in the 2K18 days that some random unlimited sweat's better than anyone that's known, but nah, those guys playing Players Lounge, those guys are like the comp players literally just lab with each other. They practice with each other. They play against each other constantly. No random dude from Unlimited is gonna be at that level. They could be, but like they're not. It's tough. It's really, really tough to get to that level.
Is a calling out for anything that they consider comp. Unlimited isn't it. It just isn't. In fact, Unlimited doesn't suit anyone. It doesn't suit a casual. It doesn't suit a newbie.
No, Unlimited's
a comp player either.
Unlimited's attempting to cater to both, and it's a disaster.
And speaking of comp players, guys, we need to start building hype around these guys as well. People like Ty Debo, Splash, and they got a little bit of shine from 2K in the lead up to the finals, but overall,
what? No, they didn't. The only reason that game had any hype was, well, the only reason that game got a lot of viewers was because Splash was a 2K League player. Ty is one of the biggest YouTubers, and everyone promoted it. Everyone that could have promoted it. Like, anyone with a voice that had any even slight interest in competitive MyTEAM is promoting that. Heck, we had Shake and Bake coming back from the dead to come into streams for that. Like anyone with a bit of a voice promote that. We did everything we could as a community to promote that. Like, that's not from 2K. And I actually think 2K promoting it's not going to really help. I think that's another thing that really, really has to be done from within the kind of community aspect of it. And again, the big reason why that stream had 15,000 viewers was, well, we all know it's viewbot and locker codes. Like,
they just don't do enough to put shine on these guys. If they want these tournaments to mean something, they need to create storylines and really back these guys and give them some exposure.
They don't care enough.
The next thing, guys, is give us a choice of.
They called Splash. They were talking about the final, saying it's like Splash is in the league, and they were still calling him New Edition. It was New Edition. His name was New Edition Flash. Like, they said it was New Edition versus Rocco in the finals. Two-way Rocco. Rocco's an NBA player. They called him Rocco. Like, they were literally there on stream talking about New Edition versus Rocco in the finals. Like, man, like, you got... If 2K are gonna have to do something like that, they're gonna have to hire someone who knows what they're talking about. Because when they tried, they didn't even get the names right.
Rewards. I would love to see a choice of rewards in Unlimited, in Limited, in XP, and all of it. So we can kind of pick a card that we're really going to need, and we see a bit more variety in lineups in the game. The next thing, guys, is the auction house when you bid on a player, and it tells you that your bid is still live. 3 seconds to go, 2 seconds to go, 1 second to go.
You think you've got it, and no, you're gone.
It says you won the bid, you go to your auction outcomes, and you didn't win. Can we make that live, please, so we can actually bid on the player if we want it?
It's a joke.
I mean, it really isn't that difficult, is it? Right, auto subs, let's talk about this. 2 things here. First of all, let's lock in our bench pre-game. Can we do that? Can we lock in our 5
position locks are screwed.
Why can't we do that? If we've got 5 dark matters and 3 bronzes, why did the auto sub in 2 bronzes half of the time?
Because people are able to
let us lock it in. If the AI, if the algorithm is going to be that stupid to log it,
they haven't figured out a way to stop people using it to abuse position locks, so they've just taken it out of the game. Just like how 2K fix every single problem by sweeping an underdog.
So to bring bronzes off the bench when you've got dark matters, then just let us lock it in, please. It's the only way we can fix this. All cards need to be searchable in the auction house. There's been many cards that have either been misspelled or not in the right tiers or whatever, but it's obviously been loaded into the game, which means that we have to use a variety of filters to find that player. So make sure that stops happening. Again, misspelled players as well. More space to store contracts instead of unopened packs. If we're going to have contracts the way they are, we need to be able to store more than 20 contracts. 20 contracts. Like I said, guys,
we should be able to store infinite contracts. 20 is a joke.
I mean, it's just not enough contracts to be stored. We should be able to store hundreds of contracts. Remove the cap on that. I don't know why it's there. I have no explanation for it.
They're not going to, again, it's a quality of life thing.
I think 2K basically forgot that the actual NBA exists. But again, just for fresh content, just to keep it tied in with what's going on in the real world. There's no reason for them not to drop moments cards throughout the year. The next thing is removing the colour of the court that doesn't show the 3-point line. Can we please do that? I played way too many games this year where I'm having to guess where the 3-point line is. I don't need to tell you that. It should be obvious. Start making contracts more expensive each year. Now you're going to say, oh, but gold contracts are the same price as they were last year. That's true, but they go on dark matters now. That's the problem. They are more expensive every year. Can we start to reduce the price?
Yeah, the problem is that, like, every year, it used to only be the top players, 99 overalls, used to cost 600 5 games, which, first of all, is way too expensive anyway. But then when Pink Diamond became the second best tier, suddenly the top 2 tiers were 600. And now Pink Diamond is 95. So now every card that comes out in the game post, like, February is suddenly 600 for 600 MT for 5 games. So, yeah, like I'd say more than 50%. For more than 50% of the year, you're paying 600 coins a game for player. And like Diamond used to be 98 overall, these cost 500. Now it's a 92 overall that costs 500. So yeah, anyone who argues he's incorrect for that, no, he's 100% correct. Contracts get more expensive every year.
To some of these, I think 300 MT for like 10 contracts is a fair price. Having to bid 700 MT for
300 for 10.
5 games
I'm
is
cool
just
with that.
insane.
That makes sense.
The next thing is a personal one to me. Can we get a representative of the community that just isn't interested in self-promotion? Ronnie 2K is vulgar, guys. He is vulgar.
Like, I'm not going to speak on Ronnie Singh, the person, but there is no worse ambassador for a video game than Ronnie 2K. Like, there's no actual worse ambassador. And I get it. Part of his job is like to interact with celebrities. And in fairness, he's actually really good at that part of his job. He is really good at that part of his job because he's quite good at interacting with celebrities, getting them involved in the game. The problem is that that's not all that his job is. And there is no worse ambassador for a game than Ronnie. For like the actual community. Like they definitely need, like, there's no, why would you ever fire Ronnie? Ronnie's unbelievably good at his job, so they should never fire him, but there needs to be someone else. Like back in the day when it was Ronnie and LD working as the like 2 main faces. LD was the community guy, Ronnie was Ronnie. And now LD is kind of, obviously, hopefully he's okay. I know he's been in and out of hospital the last while. You can't obviously have him. There needs to be someone else at a role that's seen as like the community guy with Ronnie. That it's not Ronnie on a pedestal and then everybody else. Because, again, I don't know Ronnie Singh the person, but Ronnie 2K, the job, or Ronnie 2K, I don't know if it's a persona or not. I don't know the guy. But like it's very obvious he just looks down on anyone that isn't clouded. So like there just needs to be someone else. Even if they're one spot below Ronnie, just put their face out there. I don't know who it can be. I don't know who's good to get as that job. But obviously Corey from EA is not that guy, because anyone who knows anything about FIFA knows what happened with him. Like he's not that guy, and he hasn't put his face out there, so I don't think he wants to be that guy. There needs to be someone there. And even though like obviously one person can't control everything, just for peace of mind, just put a good face out there. Because the name Ronnie 2K, just the only emotion anyone in the community gets when they hear the name Ronnie 2K is anger. There needs to be someone else there that their face is everywhere, where there's more kind of positive emotions towards them. Even if all they're doing is just forwarding on stuff. Like, there needs to be someone else. So I fully agree with that point. But again, I don't know Ronnie as a person. He could be a great guy and this could all be an act. So, but there just needs to be someone else, because the name Ronnie 2K just triggers, again, anger in everyone that plays this game.
He's supposed to be representing us, and it makes my skin crawl. This is a guy who attacked an NBA player's wife last week on Twitter.
He's not representing anyone.
That is the guy we're relying on.
He doesn't represent anyone.
All he cares about is self-promotion. He wants to be an influencer. He doesn't want to make our lives better.
I don't know if that's what he's being told to do.
If he's on a camera, he's happy. That's basically the extent of Ronnie. And to see his ego go...
That's the thing, is I don't know if that's just his job and that's what he's being encouraged to do, or that's actually him. And that's the big thing. Either way, there needs to be somebody else.
To the levels that it did last week, it's frightening that this guy is responsible for our happiness on this game. The next
He's not
thing is
responsible
just
for
basic
anything.
functions of basketball. Can we get things like pick and pops to actually work? So the player pops
pick and roll, pick and pop
when we
random.
needed to. Can we just do that again?
That's
We've
great,
got
isn't
24
it?
seconds to make a play here. If it doesn't
and
work
roll,
three
pick and
times,
pops is
we're kind
random.
of screwed. Can we avoid nobody's being the best card in the game? Like I said, if we change the meta, cards like Jordan, Kareem,
I actually
LeBron,
kinda like that.
These should be the best cards in the game. Again, it's not difficult to achieve. Can we make sure that
random
happens so we're not
players are the best
dealing
every
with
year?
Taco
I
and
kinda like
Bol
that.
next year again? The worst animation in the game. I'm going to keep this really simple. Can we stop players cutting in from the corner when they're wide open? Can we just stop doing that, please? Please.
never
5,
will.
6, 7, 8, 9
never
times
will.
a game. One of the best three-point shooters in your team will be sitting wide open in the corner. And as soon as you throw the pass, he cuts. And he not only cuts, he cuts behind the center to make sure you give away a steal. I mean, it's literally range-inducing at this point. One way to do this, guys, is to get elite MyTEAM players to test the game before release. Please give it to Ty. Let him test it. Can we remove injuries and injury cards? They're meaningless. They literally mean nothing.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of a player
haven't
getting
got
injured.
injury
It
this
hasn't
year.
really happened this year, I think, maybe once. Yeah, once it happened to me this year. It's so rare that it's pointless. Can we just get rid of all of it? Remove injuries and the cards. They're literally just there for pack filler at the moment. Speaking of pack filler, can we get rid of things like bronze shoes, silver shoes, replace them with things that we're actually going to use? Even if it's just accessories, a headband or whatever, just put something in there that we're actually going to use. A bronze shoe is 250 MT. Sell the headband for the same amount, on a quick sell. But just give us something that we might actually use. That's all we're asking for. Can we have significant daily events? Not one token for winning a game of Unlimited. Can we have an event that will get everyone excited? You know, whatever it is that you've got a 1 in 5 chance of getting a card, or even 1,000 MT. Just something that makes the game mode worth grinding. The events this year have basically been pointless. I think outside of like 2 vaults when we had Terry and Ferry, everything else has been pointless, and that was only worthwhile because they made it so toxic to begin with. Let's talk about a big thing, guys. Hypermotion mapping from EA and FIFA. Just to let you know, the mocap that FIFA did for the new FIFA is a mocapped an entire 11v11 football game. That's what they did. That's soccer for you Americans. They mocapped an entire 11v11 game to make the gameplay more realistic. And we've got images of Luka mocapping with a slow jumper. That's the difference between a gaming company who cares about gameplay and a...
The problem is, as I will always say, 2K, that probably cost millions, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to mocap that whole game and implement that into the game. The problem is that 2K may not make millions extra from doing that in the game. So again, making the game a little bit quite a bit better isn't going to make them quite a bit extra money. So they wouldn't put quite a bit extra money and make the game quite a bit better. It's a money thing. It's not going to make the money, so they're not going to do it. And that's the problem, is that 2K makes their money regardless of if the game's good or not. So why would they make the game good if people are still giving them money anyway?
A company who doesn't. Right. Again, issues that just don't need to be there. Camera cutaways during free throws. Camera cutaways during
blind free
inbounds.
throws.
Why are they still in the game? Why am I shooting free throws blind? Why? It's August. Why am I still shooting blind free throws? The
Only
next thing I'm going to
encouraging.
really brush over. Can we stop promoting gambling to children, please, 2K? Can we really make a point of not throwing packs in like a 12-year-old's faces?
Not even packs. Every single thing in the game is designed to make people used and like open people up to games of chance. Everything in the game, every RNG reward is designed to get people to say, screw it, I'm just going to buy VC and buy open packs. So yeah, I agree with that fully.
Where they go to their parents and ask them to open packs and then they don't get anything and then they go back. This is instilling a culture of gambling in a child. Can you please take responsibility for it and just put in some things now and then about being under 18 and not opening packs? Can we just do that? Can we just take some level of ethical responsibility for the traits that we're building in our youth? There's a few more things I'm going to run through, guys. The first one is consistent contests. Wide open is 50% and a hand in the face is wide open. That's where we're living right now. This was easier to explain when the cards were weaker. You could say badges like Intimidator had an effect. Now it makes no sense. I could be 6 foot from my defender, pull a 3 and it's 50% contested. Down the other end, my hand could be in his face and it's not contested at all. It makes no sense.
Broken.
Fix it. We know it's a problem. Fix it. I don't know what the issue is, but you need to resolve it. Now I'm going to talk about my most frustrating animation, which is the rebound steal animation. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? when your opponent hits 6 full whites in a row, and he finally misses one. You go up, you grab the rebound, and you're like, oh my goodness, thank God I finally got one. You land, and you drop the ball. And they get a wide open 3. 5 times a game, on average. One end or the other. Yeah, that is my most frustrating animation. Can we avoid XP that encourages stalling, please? Can we stop? Yeah. Can we stop with the play X amount of games?
Again, that is something. When the Bradley Beal thing happened, I was very, very vocal talking to my team devs playing, saying, please do not do this again for like the LTE rewards, because I've just been stalled in 4 limited games in a row. My opponents aren't doing anything. They're just dribbling out the clock. And it happened again the next time they did it. So, yeah, that's not going to go away. Unfortunately, it's not going to go away.
Can we change it to win X amount of games? Please. I literally can't. Just trying to get 10 limited games in at a weekend. You're blowing someone out by 50 every single game, and it takes you 10 hours because they're staying in the game just because they want the XP. Yeah. Can you stop incentivizing that behavior, please? Again, just a bit of thought, and this all gets way better for all of us. And then the final thing, guys, because I think it's the most ridiculous thing that it's still in the game, is at the end of the year, we still have the TTO glitch where the player runs back and forth in the crowd.
Only on current gen.
That must be the most simple thing for 2K
That's
to
such
fix.
A funny glitch.
Remove the crowd.
Player just starts running.
That took me 3 seconds. What are you doing 2K in your meetings? Have people not spoken about this?
Removing the crowd isn't the problem. The problem is that there's like a barrier. There's like a certain barrier, and the ball ends up past the barrier, and your player goes into the barrier and just starts running because it doesn't know where the ball is. It's a weird glitch. It's nothing to do with the crowd, but it's almost certainly nothing to do with the crowd, but it's something to do with where the crowd stands. I think that's a very difficult glitch to stop, but it is a funny one.
You're not aware of it? Have you played the game? I mean, any of it?
Most 2K devs aren't aware of any glitches because they don't play the game. I remember when there was an entire day when every player was invisible if you wore the Kobe, what was it called? The pre-order jersey. Every single player became invisible. And I was live on stream for like 4 hours, literally sitting there laughing about how ridiculous it is that every player was invisible. And it took until hour 4 of the stream and a 2K dev popping into the stream and seeing invisible players for him to message me and be like, what's going on? And then they fixed it like an hour later. Like, it legitimately took an entire day. And the only reason the 2K found out about it was because a dev happened to stumble into my stream. That would have lasted 2 days if otherwise, like. So, yeah, they don't, like, in fairness, they made the game. They're not going to play the game a significant amount, but a lot of errors and glitches do go over the devs' heads because they don't play the game enough.
I mean, it's just obscene. It's absolutely ridiculous. That is the video, guys. Yeah, I just ranted for about 30, 40 minutes straight.
And I added about 30 minutes of ranting onto that. So, huge shout out to Jazz anyway. I do agree with... Honestly, like, it's a thing with the game where it's like, we're not all going to have the same opinions. But I think we both are coming from the same spot that, like, it wasn't a great game. And a lot of the problems were small things that 2K can fix. I think that's the most annoying part, was that it's a lot of things that you're like... And have either been in the game for 5 years, and you're like, a lot of bad things have either been in the game for 5 years, and you're like, how have you not fixed this yet? It's been 5 years. Or they're like really small things, like speed burst, and you're like, why can you not just fix this? And that's the annoying thing, is that they're either things that can be fixed by putting a little bit of money in, fixed by laziness, like, again, misspelled players' names, a bunch of stuff like that. Getting rid of our freelancers for no reason. We used to be able to put in 2K18, we could use 20, in 2K19 we could use 16. 2K20 and 21 it was down to 4, and suddenly on next gen it's down to 1. Like, it's a joke. A lot of those little things like that a lot of the problems we like had in like were things that we used to have in previous years, and they took them away, and now there's a problem because they took them away. Problems have been in the game for years, or problems that could be very, very easily fixed. So that's one of the most frustrating things. And yeah, I agree with 80% of things. I don't agree with some of the things, and not everyone's going to agree on every problem with the game, especially when we all play the game as much as we do. Like, I know Denver Shook legitimately believes that next gen is the best 2K in years. And more power to him. More power to him if he enjoys the game. And you know what? I hope, like, even if next year's ass, if I enjoy it, I'm cool. It doesn't matter what the general consensus is, but if I enjoy it, I'm cool. I hope I'm like Denver next year. Even if everyone hates the game, I hope I'm like him, that I can sit back and say, you know what, I actually enjoy playing the game. Because this year, I did not enjoy it. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.